Yes. That is correct. Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order for Thursday, April 7th. Please stand and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please double check all electronic devices, your phones, make sure they're on vibrate or off, please. This meeting was duly advertised in the Lancaster newspaper on December 1st of 2021. I would like to announce that there was an executive session. The executive session was held from noon until approximately 1 p.m. on March 29th. That executive session entailed two matters. One matter was for personnel related to active and current litigation. The second matter was also personnel related. It is related to an investigation request due to allegations of wrongdoing by personnel. That portion involved a question and answer period with the attorney. Okay, gentlemen, past meeting minutes for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve Thursday, March 17th, 2022 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
I did not have any, Jeff.
No.
None? And I will second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. The motion carries. Okay, fire company presentation, year pack grant.
Okay, first, I guess I'd like to thank you for putting us way early in the agenda. That suits me greatly. For those that don't know me, my name is Scott Aki. I'm the fire chief of Greentown. I'm also Chad Weaver of Stevens and Donnie Stover of Smoketown. So back in 2020, the township supervisors had agreed to write us to pay for a grant that we had written through the federal government to replace air packs, which is something that needs to happen about every 15 years. Because the cylinders that we use run out of date and they run out of life expectancy in 15 years. And every 3 years in that time period, the NFPA changes the standards of what we use.
Chief,
yes.
sorry, can you explain what the air packs are?
The air pack is the pack that you would see a firefighter wear on his back with a face piece that allows them to go into a smoky or hazard environment and not breathe that toxic air into their system. So anyway, we reached that 15-year period. So I'd like to thank the supervisors for paying for the grant. It was a 2020 grant. It was written in January of 2021 because of COVID. We received the approval for the grant in August of 2021, and we would have until August of 2023 to execute the grant. However, with our air cylinders won't last till 2023 before they would expire, so we have to execute this year to stay viable. The grant, and I think you guys all have the figures, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you want me to go over the figures so everyone knows what we're dealing with?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Chief.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
So the grant award was for $295,975. That's to replace all the air packs in East Cocalico Township, and it will bring us up to the NFPA standard, which will be a total of 43 individual air packs, and it would be 86 cylinders, and it will be 56 face pieces. So one thing in this grant we decided to do was, due to COVID, due to some other things that we're gonna do with our most active firefighters, they're all gonna have their own individual face piece. So we have no risk of cross-contamination from one firefighter to another. But we also will still carry spare face pieces on all the apparatus, so that if someone would forget theirs, whatever, they'll be sanitized, they'll be there. So we'll have a face piece to each pack on our apparatus, plus all the, I'm gonna call frontline firefighters will have their own face pieces. So back to the numbers, sorry about that. 295,975. Of that, our portion of the grant is 5%, which is $14,094.05. So in the usual fashion, everything has gone up exponentially since the grant was received. So we priced the equipment. We do have a couple of options that we felt we really need to have on our packs in today's age. One was a voice amplifier, which takes the voice of that individual. So I don't know if you ever heard a firefighter talk in a face piece, but really muffled, really hard to understand. And that means our communications on the fire ground get really rough when they're trying to talk from inside a building on a radio through their face piece. Sometimes you don't get the proper message. So now there'll be a voice amp on each one of them that takes the voice from their face piece to their shoulder and puts it out as clear as what I would be talking right now. So we felt that to be important. They also each have what we call a buddy breathing system, and it's merely a long hose that is on the belt of the air pack, and it allows one firefighter, if he gets in trouble or has an issue with his pack, his partner can actually take that hose out and they can connect together and come out of the building on one bottle of air. So it's again, everything that we put to them is a safety feature. I'm gonna say that we stayed in the middle of the road. We did not definitely go to Cadillac, but we also don't have the VW either. And if anybody has a VW, I'm sorry. I meant the old Beetles, okay? Let's do the old Beetles. So that being said, the price of the equipment is $341,151. If we pay our left after the state grant, it's with our 5% added into this total. Well, on that grant, we'll owe $59,270.05. Now, again, in federal fashion, in the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, they continually change the standards, and I guess they keep getting closer and closer to uniform. I'm not quite sure why they don't go from point A the whole way to the end and finish this, but in 2018, they changed the requirement that now all air fittings on all packs, on all manufacturers' systems will be the same. That was never like that previously. We had a universal grid connection, which is if we go in and get a down firefighter out, that's been standard since probably 2007. So now they finally decided, well, this would make sense if we'd all like have the same fitting on everything we do. Hence, we have the old fittings. So we need to rework several things to get everything compatible. And that cost is $9,873. And we have one more add-on, and that is to rework our air fill stations, because now our air fill, we have a squad truck that carries, it's a cascade system. We also have a cascade system in our station. Both of them, we can fill our bottles when we return from a call, or with our squad truck, we can fill them on scene to continually operate. And that rework, it also reworks our ladder truck in Reamstown to bring that air over so that we can connect these packs directly into our air truck. And I'd gladly go over this with anybody that they would want to come out to our station to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we do it. Because I know it's a little cumbersome for everybody to try to understand what I'm talking about. But that total is 5131. So our East Cocalico fire departments are, I guess we're kindly hoping, the township supervisors, the total liability over and above the grant is $74,274.05. And I think that's what we would be here for. So originally, go ahead.
Chief, you're gonna say exactly what I was gonna ask. The original number
Or
didn't include those changes that you now need, right?
correct, it did not.
Those are the
And
hours.
there was a couple things, it could be because I was a little bit naive to the process. So we hired an outside grant writer. And the outside grant writers are typically 90% successful. If we tried to write that grant in-house, we would probably be the other 5% successful, right? We just couldn't do it, we don't know how to work. But there's certain things that grant writer has to require in that grant, has to show the need. So one thing that he did, we now have 37 air packs in East Cocalico Township. To get that grant, we had to bring every riding position in each piece of apparatus up to the NFPA spec, which meant we need to have an air pack in every one of those riding positions. That brought our total to 43. So that is one of the biggest reasons for the overage. And I didn't catch that previously, so I did after I got the quote, and I kind of bit my lip and I kind of fell off the chair. And then after I woke up and shook my head a little bit, I said, well, we don't need that many. I don't know if we can utilize that many. I don't know that we have that many volunteers in the township to justify that amount of equipment. He said, the way the government works, you need to take the 43. So I said, what if we go back to the grant writer and say that this is what we need? He said, the only thing they will do is reduce the amount of packs and then they'll reduce the amount of money. So it's the same. So we talked about it, the three chiefs, and I think we're in agreement that we do have room for them. Each station is probably now going to have a spare pack so that not if one breaks, when one breaks, we won't have a pack riding capable seat out of service. We'll be able to put that other pack on that piece. So we'll always have one reserve pack at each station to carry any maintenance issues or fault, things like that.
That was one of the other questions I was gonna ask is, does this give you a backup set? And it sounds like it does.
We'll have a minimum of 3 backup packs in East Cocalico.
Okay.
Now understand that after this is all done and all the purchase is done, so we needed to have a home station that wrote the grant. Reamstown wrote the grant, just as the host. So when these packs are paid for and are delivered, they will get rolled over to the East Cocalico Township Firemen's Relief Association, which is an association of all 3 departments. And that department gets relief funds from East Cocalico Township to the tune of, I think it's roughly 73 to 75,000. It varies up and down. For people that don't know what relief money is, it's 2% of the premiums of fire insurance bought outside the state of Pennsylvania. That comes back to your municipality, and that money is then dispersed to the fire departments within that municipality. So with 3 fire departments in East Cocalico, that relief association has guidelines set up by the state auditor general's office, and it tells you exactly what you're allowed to spend that money for. And there's only specific items that you can spend that money for. In East Cocalico, we utilize that money to buy all of our gear, which would be our boots, coats, helmets, gloves, hoods, jackets. And that ensemble to each firefighter to fully dress him costs about $4,000 per firefighter. We have about between 55 and 60 sets of gear. The NFPA said that gear has to be rolled over a minimum of once every 10 years. So that's 200 and some odd $1,000 going out of that relief every 10 years. It also buys all of our radio equipment. At this point in East Cocalico, I believe we have approximately, I would not want to be held to a figure, but approximately 60 portable radios, at a tune of now about 3,500 to 4,000 each. And we also have about 18 mobile radios, which are very close to the same price. So you're looking at maintaining the service, the batteries, everything on those radios annually, and there's about 80 of them total, 75 to 80 radios. Then we also buy safety equipment for apparatus that is purchased within East Cocalico. And the way they do that is if, let's just say, I think on Reamstown's ladder truck, our ladder truck costs $910,000, and that was bought in 2009. We're allowed to utilize 10% of that, or I could borrow 10% of the total cost of that apparatus. I could borrow that money through the relief. The only restriction on that is there's a written agreement that when I sell that piece 30 years down the road for, let's say, $100,000, 10% of that $100,000 has to go back to the relief. So it's you don't have to replace the total amount of money you borrow, just 10% of the selling price. And then the relief also does all of the training for all the firefighters in East Cocalico. Oh, radio and pagers, yes, correct, sorry, in radios. So paging devices that each one of our firefighters has that are on their belt so that they're alerted to an emergency and they can get there as quickly as possible. There could, I don't know how many we have. 80, 90, $600 a piece. And they all have batteries and they all have clips, and we all know how, so there's a ton of maintenance to these kinds of items. So the relief is just about maxed out on what they can continually provide. And mind you that all three fire departments on their own through the fundraisers do their general budgets. So they're buying their own apparatus, they're buying their own hoses, their own nozzles, their own fans, they're buying all of the rest of the equipment they need, and they're maintaining their buildings or properties, their heating, their cooling, oh yeah, gas meters would be on the
Where's the gas meters?
yeah, ticks and gas meters, the thermal imaging cameras and gas meters are also. So we're maxed out in the amount of money we can outlay out of the relief annually and still maintain the safety of our personnel. And this is something that only happens once every 15 years. It is a major expenditure, we know, but it's once in 15 years. I think previously back, our last packs were bought in 2008. And I believe that was purchased out of the capital funds account that the township had set up many years ago. And that, at that point, had wiped that account out. And I think the township may have paid a little bit over and above so that we could buy the packs the last time. So I do believe East Cocalico fully paid the packs.
That is correct.
And I do know the time before that, when we had to buy, we had to actually lease over a 10-year period because we couldn't afford to outlay the cash to fire packs.
You actually leased them.
We leased for a 10-year period. It was a lease to purchase. So it was set up on payments over 10 years so that we could, and actually you pay a little bit more to do that, but it was the only way we could fund the project. So we're graciously asking the township to consider 74,274.05. In case my math is wrong, the balance of the air packs after the federal amount is in. If you should be gracious enough to help us out in that matter.
Let me start by saying this. I think you know my opinion with the fire departments. It's been, the one thing I've said publicly in the past is I'm actually, my words, ashamed and disgusted that you guys have to ask for money. It should be something that municipalities should be funding. Okay? In the past, we worked with the departments in that spirit. We did that with, back in 2000 on the Motorola radio purchase. We picked up the cost there for I think it was somewhere around $34,000, right, Chief?
Yep.
Somewhere around that area. So I see this as, and I still see this as, it is a safety issue, a major safety issue for the volunteers. I also see it as it's a necessity because it's a life and death safety issue, just like I said with the radios. I see this as a very similar thing. So in the spirit of what we did with the radios, I do not feel comfortable with the departments having to come up with any of this money themselves. I think it should come from East Cocalico. I think it should come from the township. The one real advantage we have right now is we have, Judy's here, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have the ARPA funding. So we have that money that came, I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but I'm gonna say it. We have that money that came from those magic trees that just produce funds in Washington. So if the money's available, my personal opinion is we utilize that money.
You think you could get a seed for that tree and plant one here in East Cocalico?
I did a drive-by with that thought in mind. I couldn't find them.
I believe that.
So I'm of the opinion we use the ARPA funding for that balance. Again, it's a safety issue, it's a necessity issue, and it's in the spirit of this is an item that we need to do for our departments. We have to do for our departments, considering what we're getting in return for the coverage and what you're doing for us, that a lot of people don't even understand and realize. So those are my thoughts.
I had one question for you. I didn't want to interrupt you when you were talking about Volkswagen Beetles and all that good stuff. So,
I knew you were a car buff.
so when you said about the fittings, I'm just looking at the quote here, all the fittings and stuff for the fill stations and all.
Yeah.
Would that be for all 3 stations, or would that be just for 1 station, or is that?
Rangetown is the only station that has that.
Okay.
And Rangetown maintains that through the Relief Association for the entire township.
Okay. That was my one question.
Yeah.
But I also am in favor of using the ARPA funds to pay the whole amount. I personally can't thank you guys enough for what you guys do for the community, and I honestly don't think you guys get enough, what's the word I'm looking for? Enough support from a lot of people, because they really don't know what it's all about. You guys put a lot of time, effort, and training into all this, and if this is our way of giving back, I'm all for it as well. So I'd be in favor of paying the $74,274.05.
Or whatever that balance
or whatever the balance is.
Yeah, I mean, what we have now is estimates on, so I think that's pretty firm, but every now and then they'll come out, the service guy, and he'll, oh, I forgot this valve, or I forgot that valve. So I wouldn't wanna lock in on we're locked in on the grant. I just don't know if we'd be locked in on the $9,000 number and the $5,000 number 100%.
I guess, Scott, the only question that rose in my mind when I looked at this was the grant that was received. and the requirement of the companies to put that match to it. Does that integrity of the grant get lost in this without that match, or it doesn't matter where the match comes
I'm
from?
not sure I'm following that.
Well, there was a requirement of the grant that you put into $14,094. The companies do. That doesn't change the integrity of the grant in any way if you're not putting that in, I guess, does it?
It doesn't matter who puts that in. What they're saying is the entity that's receiving the grant is required to pay that 5%. That's every federal grant that's given.
Okay.
Is going to be a required 5%, and I'm not sure that we knew that in the beginning on.
With the scrutiny or lack of scrutiny you see on the ARPA funding and all, it just you got to ask these kind of questions to make sure that something doesn't come back around to haunt you if it wasn't done correctly.
And these we did already check in just so that we can clarify this. This will all be, Reamstown Fire was just the host of this grant, agreed upon by all 3 fire departments that we would write it. But these will all get properly and officially through paperwork and documentation transferred over to East Cocalico Township Fireman's Relief. That's who will own these packs within the next year, probably within the next several months, and they will do all the maintenance on, so there will be no outlay. And it's the way I think the way the 3 fire departments prefer it is that there'll be no outlay against any of the 3 fire departments to maintain or purchase this safety equipment.
All right, yeah, I'm good with that too. We were happy to pay that grant writer to help you. I don't know, I forget the number. It was $5,000-6,000 or something. Yeah, it was somewhere up in that area. You know, that was a big help too.
Yeah, well, yeah. When you consider what we have to outlay compared to what the federal government's helping with, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, when we heard about that, we were happy to help you get that done, get that in place, and in the past with the radios and all. And, I guess it's unfortunate that inflation has kicked in on this and caused these extra costs. But I think it's something we as a board got to do. So I'm happy to go forward and help you out with that.
Sorry, Jeff, I was thinking about something, I thought you were done. The other thing we're gonna need some cooperation and help with the departments. ARPA, we're not sure the level of audit that ARPA does, right? So we'll need, I would ask that you guys work closely with Judy or Mike in terms of, so we have copies of whatever she's going to need in case they come in on the federal side and do the audits.
Yep.
Showing what all the equipment was.
Yeah, that's no problem. Well, documentation.
The board, as they consider taking action, where's this payment, how's this payment get processed? Does it get cut to the fire relief? Does it go to the vendors?
It's gonna, I think the original, I think we need to find that out. I don't have all those answers. This is the first federal grant that I've ever executed. We do state grants, which are relatively easy. So I don't have all the answers to that. Right now, Reamstown Fire is the host grant writer. So I'm not sure if the balance is gonna have to go through Reamstown to the total invoicing is done, and then the rollover will just be purchased by East Cocalico. I have to find that all out and make sure that we're doing everything properly and legally. So I'm gonna need some assistance with that. I do know that we've already talked to the accountants on how we transfer over, and they're getting that paperwork together. The other benefit for you guys probably is that, well, I'm gonna order it tomorrow morning, so that there was a price increase, believe it or not, April the 1st.
Find that hard to believe.
And we just got our quote 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks prior, the second week of March. And I said, when I talked to them, I said that the East Cocalico Supervisors don't meet till the first week in April. Well, originally they said, well, that's fine, you just get us an okay and we'll proceed. Then they sent me another quote and changed the due date of the signature to April 1st. So they said, you have to sign by April 1st. I said, I'm not gonna do that. We already agreed upon a date, and that's a date that I'm gonna sign. And if you don't hold the number, then I guess I'm gonna be looking for air packs that I'm not signing. So he finally agreed to that. So tomorrow morning by 9 o'clock, I have to have a signed agreement to the vendor to lock in that price. If I don't lock in tomorrow, next week, I think it's at 5%. I think it's 5%. So if you, I'll pay that additional 5% if I mess up and don't get the contract in.
Mike, any other questions?
But there'll also be a 3 to 4 month lead time. And there's no monies due until the air packs are delivered. So we're looking at sometime July, August.
Is there any other questions for the chief or the chiefs? Okay. I'll tell you what, I will make a motion that we go ahead and use ARPA funds to pay for the full balance of the air packs for the fire departments. What I would like to add in the motion is, instead of using the $74,274.05, I would like to put in the motion a not to exceed price of $76,000. And my reason for putting that in the motion would be because then, just in case there's an extra valve, there's a seal, there's something, a bracket, a gasket, something that was missed. Okay. So
I think that's enough. I think 1,800 is enough.
I think it's, chief, 1,800 should be enough.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna miss by that. I'm just saying when they go to take the air panel apart and there's a little reducer or something in there that they didn't know was there, they're gonna add it onto the bill. So I'm thinking a couple $100, not thousands of dollars.
So I made that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the work that you do, that we do not see behind the scenes, and thank you for that nice, excellent presentation.
Yes, thank
And
you.
laying that out.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. What was that?
Then you'll be in jail.
Okay. Land planning. Sharon.
Okay. The first item we have is a withdrawal of the lot annexation plan for Matthew Grant. And it's just been provided to you to formally acknowledge the withdrawal of the plan. So I can read that motion for you if you like. The motion is to acknowledge the withdrawal of the Matthew Grant lot annexation plan associated with instrument numbers 6322704 and 5082254, based on the township's receipt of the applicant's consultant's withdrawal letter dated March 22, 2022.
Okay, did you expect anyone here for that?
No.
All right.
Read it again?
No.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. So a motion and a second, any questions? Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, the motion carries.
The next item is a financial reduction request for Heatherwoods Phase 3. This motion is to authorize a $150,178 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the Heatherwoods final Phase 3 plan, resulting in the remaining financial security being reduced to $286,000, $426,15.
Did you expect anyone for that one?
I will make that motion.
I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
And then we have financial security request for Heatherwoods Phases 4 and 5. This motion is to authorize a $150,268 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the Heatherwoods final phase, it says 3, but it should be 4 and 5 plan, resulting in the remaining financial security being reduced to $166,627.
And I'll make that motion.
I'll second that one.
Okay, motion and a second. Any questions? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
And the next item on the agenda is the Koseski Stormwater Management Plan, that's 471 Hill Road. You have motions to conditionally approve the plan, as well as some administrative motions. Do you want to take these separately or together? Separately, okay. The first, and Mr. Koseski and his engineer are here.
Great.
Yeah, we're here, if you have any questions, anybody have an answer, or you want an explanation of that one, we're ready to do that.
Quick overview.
Sure.
Be great.
Okay. My name is Mike Saxon, this is Mr. Brzezinski, he's the owner of the property. I'm a landscape architect. Just to quickly allow you to see, I have 3 copies of this evening. I actually have one.
That's okay.
So yeah, basically what you see there is just I colored a couple things. I colored the impervious surfaces because that's what the stormwater plan is all about. There's so swimming pool, a pool deck, a pool house, cabana kind of thing, and there's some floor plans and renderings, or not renderings, elevations of that structure on the next 2 pages. And then to the side of it is the underground stormwater system. So the intent of the project is to keep the stormwater underground and so that he gets maximum usage of the lot, basically. Mr. Brzezinski likes to play volleyball, so there's some volleyball courts located over top of the stormwater system. The total impervious surfaces that you're looking at there is 7,705 square feet. So we've been working with staff, as Sharon indicated, with the agreements, the stormwater maintenance agreement, and the improvement guarantee and the escrow amount. So I think that's all been settled. It's just a matter of kind of crossing T's and dotting I's now.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, unless you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first motion is to conditionally approve the Koseski Stormwater Management Plan based on the applicant/applicant's consultant addressing the comments in the Becker Engineering LLC review letter dated April 5, 2022 to the satisfaction of the township.
Okay. And I will make that motion.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. The motion carries.
The next motion is to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the improvement guarantee agreement for the Koseski Stormwater Management Plan when executed by the applicant, submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township solicitor, and accompanied by financial security in an amount satisfactory to the township engineer and a form satisfactory to the township solicitor.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, the motion carries.
The next motion is to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the stormwater management and easement agreement for the Pozeski Stormwater Management Plan when executed by the applicant and submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township solicitor.
And I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
And then finally, a motion to authorize the Board of Supervisors to sign the plans for the Pozeski Stormwater Management Plan when executed and certified by all necessary parties and submitted to the township in a form acceptable to the township and township solicitor once the township has received all other items necessary to satisfy conditions of approval, including providing required financial security.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. Motion carries. I think that was all of them for
That's it
possession.
for, yes,
Okay,
and that's it from me.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, 2022 pool season.
Yeah, we have a bunch of items that we discussed at the last meeting that we need to make official for the upcoming 2022 Town pool season, including membership rates and fees, service agreements for both the operation of the pool as well as repair to the baby pool, the snack bar agreement, and private party and pavilion rental agreement, and a night swim policy, and a raffle prize. So we'll kind of, we did discuss these at the last meeting, but I'll kind of give a quick overview, and then we'll have a series of separate motions that'll check off all of these items. The first one in regard to the membership rates and fees, as was discussed at the last meeting, the recommendation from the rec board was to include a $5 increase for all membership rates from last year, with the exclusion of the swim team student passes, and a $1 increase for all daily fees charged to enter the pool. The township's rates that were proposed also were matched by Denver Borough's rates. The two communities have, for the past couple of years, have kept the daily and membership fees the same, so that they could kind of serve the population here in this part of oh, okay, sorry about that. We got a couple firefighters in the room, so they kept those the same. So we have a breakdown of the fees which were in the packet, which were the same as they were last meeting. So essentially, we need to make this official. So there's a motion from the board to set the 2022 Reevestown pool membership rates and fees as per the recommendation of the Recreation Board, which includes an increase of $5 for each membership category with the exception of the East Cocalico Swim Team student pass, and an increase of $1 for all daily fees.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that. Any comments, questions? Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, the motion carries.
Second item is a service agreement for the pool. Started last year in the 2021 season was the first year that we had the Effort Rec Center manage the pool. They've submitted a service agreement to manage the pool again in 2022. As we discussed at the last meeting, that per diem charge has increased to $806 per day, which is 13.5% higher than 2021. And the half-day rate had increased $458, up to $458 per day. That was an 11.7% increase. The explanation was that They need these increases to increase the wages for the lifeguards and staff being hired. I recall last year there was an issue of payment amounts for lifeguards and difficult keeping guards and people that come out to guard. So the rec center has submitted the service agreement, which matched what was done last year in regard to the form and content. There was some comments that were submitted asking the rec center to consider the possibility of requiring 5 certified lifeguards to be, plus the pool manager. The pool manager could actually serve as a guard if needed, to be staffing the pool. Also asked about the baby pool being guarded when anyone's in that water, and a request for water testing during the day on a regular basis. I did forward some of these comments, since they were received from pool patrons and people who are familiar with the pool, to the rec center, to Jim Summers, and he did respond today just by email, and I'll just kind of highlight that, and then we could get back to the service agreement. So while there's certainly times 5 guards on duty may be needed to operate the pool, mainly weekends and holidays, attendance on many days do not warrant that many. Pool management evaluates daily use to determine the number of guards needed. Obviously, weather, time of day, point of the season have an impact on pool use. If 5 guards would be required to open each day, the proposed per diem would need to be modified. So both lifeguard stands will be manned when use calls for it, but both may not be manned when there's only a few patrons in the pool. Lifeguard on duty with baby pool responsibilities will rarely be on a stand. The intent of the lifeguard stands is to get a better view of what's happening in the pool and to see the bottom of the pool. So use and depth of the baby pool does not require a stand, and in a situation where the guard must react, they can get to a situation faster from the deck rather than from a stand. In regard to testing pool water, they agreed every 2 hours. That is not a problem, and monitoring the chlorine system should not be a problem. So there was just a response to some of those comments and concerns that were issued there. In regard to the agreement, again, it's pretty much the same language as before. Then there hasn't been any additional changes worked in. The schedule is obviously updated, as well as those prices that I mentioned earlier. So you do have, the board does have in front of you a motion to authorize the chair of the Board of Supervisors to execute the service agreement between East Cocalico Township and the Upper Recreation Center for the 2022 Williamstown Pool.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
Next item, we called it for the sake of the agenda as part of the service agreement. Essentially, it's a service sort of repair estimate that the township received for the baby pool coping. Henley Masonry LLC had submitted an estimate to remove the old coping around the baby pool and to install new coping and caulking on the back of the coping. The price includes disposal of the old concrete and mortar and the installation of the new coping and caulking around the pool. The price does not include shipping of the coping material. That number hasn't been able to be determined as of yet. The estimated cost for the labor and materials, excluding shipping, to replace the coping is between $4,000 and $4,600. Multiple companies were approached, only one. This one has provided the estimate, and we are getting tight as to whether we are going to be able to make sure we have that work done before the start of the season if we wait longer. In 2022, the township budgeted $35,000 to make repairs to the Williamstown pool. That included powder coating the slide steps and metal components, which is about $3,500 so far. Repairing the block wall in the restroom, which was $2,000, and I believe the road crew had finished that painting on March 31st, so that work's done. We had identified the coping around the baby pool, as well as some other items, including the phone system, the sound system, and internet service to the pool. I think they were the ones initially that were listed. And I'm looking in the crowd because we have 2 members of our rec board here that are either going to tell me no or I missed something, so, but I think I'm pretty good with that. So we have, in order to get the baby pool addressed, we have this proposal and a quote to contract, or the motion is to quote, to contract with Henley Masonry LLC to remove the existing coping, install new coping around the baby pool. at a cost between $4,000 and $4,600 plus shipping as per the estimate 220006.
Is that guaranteed he's gonna have it done prior to the pool opening, or?
We are close, but I don't know if he's gonna guarantee. We may end up having, if we get this ordered, taken care of by tomorrow, you know, there may be a couple days early that he's up there in the morning finishing up. But if we wait to the next meeting in April, we're probably not gonna have it ready.
You might have a 1 week delay max.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And I will second that. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, and that motion carries.
Okay, next one, snack bar agreement. This is a pretty simple one. Township has contracted with Kim Porter from Happy Dog and Kettle Grill to provide the snack bar services at the pool. This group's also doing the Effort Pool, the Denver Pool, and I think in the past they did the Adamstown Pool, but I'm not sure if they're doing it this year. There's no cost to the township for them to do this work. Obviously, if they have a very successful year, they'll make money. If they don't have a successful year, they have some ability to control their staffing, but all the staff is Happy Dog and Kettle staff. It's not township staff or anything like that. And it's a good service too, especially as you have kids and anyone who goes up to the pool, instead of having to eat just candy from the machine, you can eat something really good from this homemade from the snack bar. How's that? I was trying to think of something you eat at the pool. Pizza. So there's this is again a pretty straightforward item, no cost to the township, but a motion to authorize the chairperson of the Board of Supervisors to execute the 2022 Greamstown Community Pool Snack Bar Operating Agreement between East Cocalico Township and Kim Porter, Happy Dog, Kettle and Grill.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Okay, any questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
Okay, last year, when the pool was up and running, there was questions that were raised, and actually I even had a call from a church organization asking about whether the township has set this for 2022, but people are looking for private pool party policy and rates, as well as pavilion rental policy and fees. So we discussed last year, but it was kind of mid-season when this came up, and we thought, let's wait till we get into next year before we try to do anything with that. The rec board did get a chance to see this, and were in favor and recommended that the board proceed in this fashion. But the private group rental policy and rates, that's renting the pool for a 2-hour period of time outside of the regular public hours. So typically it's like a Saturday or Sunday from 8:15 to 10:15. And Saturday and Sunday is the typical part, because normally you'll see those as opposed to a weekday. 75 people or less, it's $75 per hour. 76 people or more, it's $85 per hour. And then a $50 non-refundable deposit is due when the reservation paperwork is submitted. These are coordinated through the Effort Rec Center and their services in operating and managing the pool. And those monies that are collected for the party outside of the deposit come to the township. Deposit stays with the Effort Rec. The other item is a pavilion rental policy. We have a pavilion up there, and sometimes people, usually it's, if no one's renting it, it's a first come, first serve, you set up in there. But you could rent it for the day if you had people coming during the day and you may want to set up food for a birthday or something, or company party, whatever the case may be. So they were looking at a $30 per day cost to rent the pavilion. You would reserve it. All those monies will come back to the township, and again, could be used to offset costs at the pool. So a chance to offer some additional amenities, as well as collect a little additional funds back in and put them back to work for the pool itself. So there's a form, but pretty much the policy is essentially what was spelled out there in the fee structure. There'll be forms that will be on the website and that people can access to make the reservation. The Effort Rec will do it. Those monies will be included in the monies that come back to the township as we collect the daily fees that go in there. So it's all pretty much a seamless operation from that end. So if you want to proceed in that fashion, there's a motion to approve the private group rental policy and rates and the pavilion rental policy and rates for 2022 Greamstown Pool. That's per the recommendation from the Recreation Board.
Mike, there was one thing I thought about I wanted to get clarity on. I would assume the effort rec is well aware then of our schedule for the swim team, so that they're not double booking.
Right, yeah, no conflict there, and as well, there's a policy for cancellations, if, you know, you have a swim season, weather could change, a storm could roll in, so there's a procedure for that as well, but yeah, all the swim team events, their schedule is shared with the rec who's operating, as well as the snack bar people, so they're all on the same page.
I guess too, Mike, with this pavilion rental, it's only the pavilion, it's no rights to the pool, is that understood?
Yeah, it's people who, they still would have to pay to get into the pool, but you could just essentially spread your stuff out in the pavilion itself. And to do that, you have to reserve it.
I will make that motion.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. The motion carries.
All right, next item is the Reedstown Pool night swim policy. The goal this year is to obviously have at least 4 night swims scheduled at the Reedstown Pool. It's a good way to get people who may not normally come out to the pool during the day, access to the pool, to see what the pool offers, and hopefully become members. So looking at establishing going into the season, a policy that night swims will be held from 8 to 10 p.m. Right now, again, there are 4 that are scheduled. And the charge to attend the night swim for all patrons, whether you're a member or a non-member, is either a donation of a non-perishable food item or a $2 fee. And the non-perishable food donations collected are donated to the Peters Porch Food Bank, which serves people in the Cocalico community. So the goal here is, again, to get ahead, to get that out so people are fully aware of what that policy is and can plan accordingly. Night swims, I think, once they catch on, become a really big part of the pool, and people really enjoy them. And again, it builds up hopefully some additional customers and patrons for the pool moving forward. So if you're comfortable with that, motion is to set the fee to attend a night swim at the Reedstown Pool for all night swim patrons, both members and non-members, to be either a donation of non-perishable food items or $2.
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, and that motion carries.
And the last one, I think the pool's prepared to open by the time I'm finished.
You know-
We're going up there.
You know what it is, Mike, it's that time of year.
Yeah, you
The
know.
pool's got a long ways.
The East Cocalico swim team has, they're gonna be hosting their 5th annual Designer Purse Bingo on Sunday, April 10th, 2022 at the Reedstown Fire Company. And the proceeds from that bingo are used to help the swim team purchase new lines, a team tent, storage caddies, and other smaller items that are used during the season. The swim team asked whether the township's willing to donate a group pass membership to the 2022 Reedstown Pool for them to use during their raffle, as a raffle item. So, the board is being asked to consider a motion to donate a group pass membership for the 2022 Reedstown Pool to the East Cocalico Township swim team to use as a raffle prize during their 5th annual Designer Purse Bingo scheduled for Sunday, April 10th, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
I will second that. So we have motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Okay, we have motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. Motion carries.
All right. Action items. Tonight, the township will consider our 2022 roadway improvement program award of contracts. Number 2 had bid and opened the bids for the 3 different projects that we have under the 3 different contracts. Contract 1 is paving of Heifer Hill Road, Cardinal Drive, Oriole Drive, Blue Jay Drive, and Audubon Circle. Contract 2 is bituminous seal coat on Glenwood Drive, Faust Lane, and Keeler Avenue. And contract 3 is a microsurface of Hill Road from Winding Way to Smokestown Road. So these were bid and they were open. We received 5 bids for contract 1. The low bid, that was the paving, the low bid was submitted by EK Services, Inc. with a base bid of $533,863. The township received 3 bids for contract 2, which is the seal coat. The low bid was submitted by Martin Paving, a base bid of $84,625.95. And the township received 1 bid from Stewart and Tate for contract 3, which was the microsurface of Hill Road from Winding Way to Smokestown. That was $33,047.80. The bid amounts of all 3 contracts total $651,536.75. In the 2022 budget, the township budgeted $575,000 for these projects. We did check though to see where we were as of March 31st. Judy informed me there was $691,700 in our liquid fuels fund balance, which right now is where we're proposing to pay for all of these projects. So we are essentially about $76,536.75 over of what we budgeted, but we do have in that fund itself that $77,000 roughly that we may need to cover that for all 3 of these projects if the township wants to proceed with all 3. As we always do when we look at these road projects, we realize they're not going to get cheaper the further we put them off, so if we wait another year. So the board does have here some motions if you want to contract, and we can do these all individually because it's 3 different companies with all 3, and hopefully you're comfortable with the plan that we could use essentially that difference of roughly $77,000. We can make it simple and use it all out of our balance of state liquid fuels monies. That still would leave us with some money in that fund, or if you wanted to pull some out of capital reserve, you could do that as well, but there is a funding plan for it. It's just a matter of, it's a little bit more than what we were hoping when we did our budget in 2021. So as you discuss that, your motions to consider is, motion to award contract 1, the paving of Pfeiffer Hill Road, Carmel Drive, Oriole Drive, Blue Jay Drive, and Audubon Circle, to EK Services, Inc., at the base bid amount of $533,863. And maybe we can break it down each one like that, and you can talk if you have any questions about it.
I will make that motion. And do we have a second?
I'll second it. It's not gonna get cheaper, so.
Okay, comments and questions. Let me say this. I think we were very diligent in the budget trying to figure out what these projects were going to cost. And at the rate of current inflation, obviously we were off. And we were, I think we were trying to be a little bit aggressive in terms of those numbers.
Yeah, as we even put the budget together, we'll ask the engineer for an estimate, their projection, so that we're not just sitting here and Judy and I are winging it or anything like that, so.
And I'm very concerned, as Lorenzo said, I'm very concerned in terms of strategy, in terms of forward-looking where these prices are going, because I don't see anything on the horizon that says they're going to be reduced. Anything. And in fact, everything I'm reading is they're probably going to increase, unfortunately. So.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ralph Buckles. How was the single bid for Stewart and Tate deemed fair and reasonable? You didn't have 2 bids, so, or 3 bids.
Yeah, you don't need that as long as you're bidding it. If you don't get people to respond, normally you have to get 3 quotes if you don't bid, but that's under a certain threshold. But if you advertise the bid and you only get 1 in, really then it becomes whether the township feels that bid price is within the range it should be. It's publicly advertised, so if someone does submit or doesn't, you don't require to get a certain number.
So is the answer to the question, the township deems it fair and reasonable?
Based on the information we currently have, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries.
Okay, contract number 2, you have a motion to award Contract 2, bituminous seal coat on Glenwood Drive, Faust Lane, and Keeler Avenue to Martin Paving, Inc. at the base bid amount of $625.95.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Okay, any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
All right, and the last one is contract 3, a motion to award contract 3, Microsoft Surface of Hill Road from Winding Way to Smokestown Road to Stewart and Tate Incorporated at the base bid amount of $33,047.80.
I will make that motion.
And I will second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions on that one? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries.
I think, Chief Stover will be happy about that one. No cars flying off the road there.
The people who live at 700 Hill Road would be happy about it.
Pretty much.
All right, next item, the board has a copy in your packet of the 2022 spring newsletter. I think if there's any revisions that need to be done concerning the pool season, which we've taken care of those, and anything that you guys have seen or wanted to be added, to let me know, we can look to do that. Otherwise, there is a motion to approve the 2022 spring newsletter and send it to the printer for print and mailing. That's probably the best way to say that.
I didn't have any changes.
You cut that last slide off.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Excuse me. Any questions? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
All right, next item, we have from the board a consideration of resolution number 2022-05, America 250 PA. This was America 250 PA, for all the, and I didn't know what this was until we got the request from PSATs, was formed to celebrate the 250th birthday of the United States in 2026 and Pennsylvania's leading role in commemorating this event. The Association of Township Supervisors asked that townships throughout the state consider approving a resolution at a meeting in April and then forwarding that resolution to them as well as to our state senator and state representative. According to their website, the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial was established by the legislature and the governor in 2018 to plan, encourage, develop, and coordinate the commemoration of our 250th anniversary and to celebrate Pennsylvania's role in that event. America 250 PA hopes to engage all citizens of the Commonwealth from all 67 counties, bring the Commonwealth's history into the conversation so Pennsylvanians can better understand the origins and multiple perspectives of issues facing our Commonwealth and nation today, use history to encourage and inspire future leaders, and celebrate the contributions of Pennsylvanians to our Commonwealth's history and also our nation's history. So the board has a copy, and I believe there were copies left out there, to consider a motion to approve resolution number 2022-05, a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of East Cocalico Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, supporting the Pennsylvania Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial.
Wishes of the board.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Any comments or questions? Yes, sir.
This is Edward McIntyre. So this agenda item, is it on like through the PA website so we can read more about it, or do you have copies that you can post it on the website of East Cocalico Township so they understand what it is? I mean, what's the role going to be for East Cocalico Township as it relates to this? Education, involvement with the fire departments? I don't know.
Yeah, right now, I guess, and it could, you know, as the planning goes through, it could be modified, but right now is a matter of support for the program and the event. I can see if, as we put that on there, we could put the link to that website for people to go on and look and see what they're planning. And I don't believe they have everything planned out yet, but I believe they're looking to just kind of begin to spread the word through townships. And I'm sure the boroughs will see the same thing, that, you know, Pennsylvania, we're gonna celebrate our anniversary, and Pennsylvania is a big part of that, so we should celebrate that as well.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, let's keep this moving, right?
You got a lot tonight.
I know, right? I don't know how is that?
3 weeks.
Who does this agenda?
It's a
I'm gonna talk to that guy.
As long as Mike doesn't say one more week.
That's what happens.
Just to follow up, at last meeting, we talked about the issues we have with the warranty for our HVAC system. Vertex had given us a cost estimate of $7,743.95, which was 50% of that total material and labor cost to replace the copper lines in one half of the building roughly, where they are seen as they're not functioning properly. We have the issue. At the same time, they were going to try to attempt to have the manufacturer pay for all the repair costs. The board had discussed submitting this to the insurance company to see if it possibly could be a covered item. I did do that. It went from Kilmore to Selective to the Hartford Boiler Company. They are in the process now of, we had provided the information. They also had asked for Vertex to provide copies of their information. We sent photos from Howler when he came out to address the leaking copper pipes. So we've provided that information to them. Essentially, they're looking to see and make a determination if it may be something that's covered. But they had indicated that if we proceed with the repairs, when it's done, if it is covered, we would have to save any parts and then provide them those, and then they could reimburse us. It looks like it may not be covered based off some early conversations, but we'll try and pursue to get it. But for the board's end, we did put off the Vertex item a little bit from last meeting to this meeting. They were trying to get that work done before they got into their busy cooling season. So if we want to proceed with contracting with Vertex, we can do that while the insurance companies make their determination if there is any coverage to provide that.
It's worth asking.
Yeah. So if you want to move, I don't believe you have a motion on that. If you want to move in that manner, we could essentially pass a motion to contract with Vertex to complete the repairs as per their cost estimate totaling $7,743.95, while the township also continues to pursue a possible insurance claim for it.
I'll make that motion, but let's add to that also that Vertex will keep, they won't dispose of all the parts they replace.
Okay.
Just in case the carrier asks for them.
Do we tell them that they keep them, or do we tell them we keep?
They give them to us. We have custody and control. So they don't get lost.
You made a motion, right?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, and the motion carries.
Next item, water fountain replacement. The township has a water fountain that's here on the main floor. I don't know if anyone wants to raise their hand if anyone's ever drank water out of that fountain.
I just tried a moment ago and it went right over the top of my head. On a Coke.
That pressure's been built up for 3 years. So
It also doubles as a shower.
it's a brave man there. So we, as we're doing improvements throughout the building, you see new flooring, painting, we're looking at lights, there's audio system and other improvements here that are trying to bring the township building up to speed. There was a request about looking at replacing that fountain with an LK light gray wall-mounted filtered ADA water cooler with easy H2O bottle filling station. essentially we looked at what the police department put in to see the work, and we said, what was that? And we got a quote for it. Cocalico Plumbing and Heating did the installation downstairs in November, I think, Chief, of last year. So their quote came in at $3,088.90 for the purchase and installation of this new unit. The unit is in stock, and it also covers any type of aluminum required to cover any voids left at that water cooler location. So if you want to proceed with that, there's a motion to contract with Cocalico Plumbing and Heating to purchase and install an LK light gray wall-mounted filtered ADA water coolers with easy H2O bottle filling station on the main floor of the municipal building, cost of $3,088.90 as per proposal 21-178 dated March 31st, 2022.
Okay,
I will make that motion.
I will second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. The motion carries.
Okay, the last thing that I have here is a draft resolution 2022-06, 2022 street lighting and hydrant tax duplicate verification resolution. Essentially what this is, on Monday, April 4th, the tax collector had submitted a memo summarizing her concerns regarding the process of how street lighting and hydrant taxes are calculated and billed in the township. In the past, the tax collector was provided the tax parcel duplicate from Lancaster County, which some of you have seen that includes the property, the assessment number, the value, and what your taxes would be for both the county and the municipality. And then the tax collector would calculate the street lighting and hydrant taxes that are due for those properties to meet that and meeting our criteria that we have in the township. So essentially, they get the duplicate, the tax collector would then calculate what was due. Once calculated, the bills would be drafted and sent from the tax collector, and then the tax collector would collect the tax. So part of the new process, and this happens a lot of times as you get new people on board, people look at different ways of doing things, review functions, come up with ways of maybe improving or changing some internal controls. The tax collector had expressed her concern that the current process lacked a segregation of duties and included a potential conflict of interest. And that conflict essentially being the person who's sending the tax bill out is the one who's calculating it out. So currently, we don't get into this issue with real estate tax because the county provides that tax duplicate. So the county will take your assessed value, your township's millage rate, and they'll provide that documentation to the tax collector, and that all is broken down. So the tax collector is not calculating it; it's done by a different party, and then the tax collector uses that information for the tax bills. But since we do street lighting and hydrant tax, the county will not include that breakdown in their bills. They just deal with real estate taxes. So the township continuing to do that, it becomes then our responsibility then to provide a tax duplicate to the tax collector, or essentially we're doing the same thing the county will do it. Here's the tax collector, here's the properties, here's the amounts, and then the tax collector then sends that information gets printed on the same bills. We do this a little bit differently in Cocalico and other places, and it goes out with the bill with that information on it. So the staff worked with the tax collector, the county treasurer's office, and we determined that what's required is that we obviously need to provide that, and we need to certify those so that we can give it to the tax collector to bill. The tax collector then provided us information. We matched it with the information we had internally, and essentially we produced a tax duplicate. This is the printed version of it, but there's an electronic version that can go to the tax collector to be used to verify that the duplicate is being submitted by a different party, essentially the township, as opposed to the tax collector. So in order to do that, we developed as well a resolution to sort of document this for the township. And the resolution essentially states that the township will be certifying the 2022 tax duplicate for street lighting and hydrant taxes in East Cocalico Township. And then we are going to we designate the East Cocalico Township tax collector to collect the street lighting and hydrant taxes in East Cocalico based off of that, this new duplicate that we'll provide. So it really is just a matter of a procedure item, cleaning up, making sure that our data matches the tax collector's data, bring us into full compliance with all those requirements, another set of checks and balances for the township, and hopefully a way that we can sort of implement as we move forward in the future. I did want to thank the tax collector as the board considers this for her efforts, obviously, to recommend these internal control changes for us, because that further strengthens what we do here in the township. And wanted to thank Judy, Ken, and Lisa for quickly pulling this together. I mean, it came Monday the 4th, today's the 7th, and we had all this prepared and on the agenda. So they really did quite a bit of work to gather all that. So the board has in front of you, and I believe there's a copy out there, a resolution number 2022-06, and you can consider a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-06, a resolution certifying the 2022 tax duplicate for street lighting and hydrant taxes in East Cocalico Township. And before you consider it, I just want to make sure, Judy, did I leave anything out, or is there anything you want to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Everything is checked.
I did have that all memorized, but then I wrote it down just to make sure.
I want to add one thing to what Mike's saying, just for clarification for everyone. This is a processing controls change. It is not a tax amount change. Has nothing to do with the amount of the streetlight or hydrant tax themselves, just for
Yeah, good
clarification.
point. Yeah, nothing changed there. It's really just a certification.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Any questions? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, and the motion carries. Hey, Chief, Police Department.
Good evening. I only have two things tonight. I received a call yesterday that the replacement car for car 2 should be delivered Monday or Tuesday. And it will be a all-black SUV that's going to get a different style of decal because we're going from white cars to black cars now. But it should be hopefully an accurate sign sometime next week to get the decals put on and then put in service.
Great.
So we're very happy about that. I think they did a little bit of begging to get the console in, so they finally got it in. We're gonna get our car, which is nice. And the next is, you have the quote, a proposal, I guess it's, for the holding cell toilet sink combination. So we have 2 holding cells downstairs, and there is a toilet sink combination. It's a stainless steel all-in-one unit, so somebody can't break a porcelain toilet if they're in there. A few weeks ago, we found out that the water wasn't stopping, so they were constantly running, so we obviously shut them off. We need those in the cells, because if we have someone in there, we obviously can't let them out to this restroom facility. We attempted to have Garden Spot Mechanical come in and fix them. He did some work on them, but the parts are no longer available. It's been outdated for quite a long time. So he did provide the quote for $6,700 per fixture. Initially, when I had Cocalico Plumbing and Heating in, or when they were doing some other work, he took a look at it and just looked it up real quick online. What he found was approximately $8,500. So it's a little less than I thought it was going to be, but it's to install the new units in both holding cells. It would be at a cost of $6,700 per unit. Unfortunately, the building is getting older. They don't make parts for the certain kind of plumbing anymore. We attempted it. As of right now, the toilet works in one cell and the sink works in the other. But that doesn't work, so we need to replace it.
There's only 2 cells.
There's 2 cells.
The dogs you had in there over the weekend didn't break it, right?
No, they didn't have anything to do. So, my request would be to have permission to, have Garden Spot Mechanical replace each toilet sink unit that costs about $6,700.
So we're looking at 13,400. I'll make that motion.
And I will second that. Questions, comments? I have a question. Can you,
Yeah, you know what, Mike, what's the threshold?
For, the quotes, well, actually, this is a repair item.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to make sure we were okay on that.
I had a question. Maybe I shouldn't ask this question, but can you use those cells if they're not working?
Yes.
Okay.
If we need to, we can remove somebody and escort them, but I'd rather get it done sooner than later, so we can avoid that.
Okay.
But now with the toilet working, we can actually escort somebody to the sink afterwards, so it should be fine.
Thank you.
You have that in the budget there, and,
This, no, I didn't know they were going to go and be unrepairable, both of them. I was thinking of, well, I wasn't thinking about it, to be honest with you, but I figured if one went, then maybe the other, but they both went.
Case.
do a little research on that.
What's that?
We'll do a little research on where to find that in the budget.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Okay. Community development, Sharon.
Nothing additional.
Okay, nothing? Thank you. All right, MS4, Ken.
Yes, the community development block grant for lining the storm sewers over Reamstown Heights, we're finally underway on that project on the first phase. First phase is having a company come in who is jet backing the debris out of the lines and then video inspecting them so that we know exactly what the condition is. We need that information to pass along on the second round to get bids for doing the lining and any needed repair work. So that's in progress. The sort of interesting thing that happened on Cardinal Drive, they found not one but 3 instances of something called a cross bore, which I had never heard of before. But a cross bore is where after you have a pipe like that installed, it's a 24-inch diameter line, some other entity comes in and bores a hole to put something else through and runs it through your pipe. So there are 3 instances. The one call had all the entities with facilities in that area come out, and the 2 winners were Blue Ridge Cable had done 2 of them, and another one was an electric line that was put in fairly recently. And so those folks will have to reroute their lines and, if necessary, for the lining project to repair the damage to the pipes. But we are underway with it. They would have finished up this week had it not rained for the last few days. And you can't inspect the stormwater pipes when they're running full of water. So that puts it off into next week sometime. They do anticipate being through with that process next week, at which point we can then go ahead with the putting the main pipelining project out for bids. That's all I have to talk about at the moment. Any questions? It's always something.
And remember, the impact of that is, these are some of the roads we're paving, so we wanted to make sure that we found if there had to be anything dug up, that we got that soon enough. And I will have to admit, Ken did, when we first looked at that, there was a thought it was a gas line coming through, a gas line.
The initial thought was it could be a gas line.
UGI responded so quickly, and then the guy calls, goes, "You don't even have any gas lines on that road," as he goes out on the road. But he goes, "Something we have to look." He goes, "Because sometimes stranger things have happened." And fortunately, it was not a gas line, so we were very happy about that.
And people did claim them, so who needs to correct the situation.
So we will have that fixed prior to paving.
The plan is we're not digging, once that paving gets done, it's getting done. We're not digging up to repair anything. We don't wanna cut that road.
So they're familiar with our schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're familiar with it.
And I think what Ken was mentioning is two of them, they may end up being small enough that
There's
lining
like
would
1
just
inch
go right
diameter
over top
line
of it.
that leaves a very small hole in the lining process because of the thickness of the liner. And probably just put in without repairing those, it won't have any impact on the process. The one electrical line is about a 4-inch conduit that's probably gonna have to be fixed.
Thank you, Ken.
Just before we move on, we don't have Judy on, but we wanted to give an update, if you can, under the reports from, what do you want to update the board? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
There's no action item, it's just, she's here for some of the other items and thought it would be ideal that we just kind of take it.
I missed the last meeting, so I wanted to make sure that I shared February's month end with you as far as the budget. So I left that at your seats. There's not really anything that I need to report on unless you have any questions. The other thing I want to talk to you about tonight is we have been getting calls from Progressive Energy Consultants. They're trying to renew our contract for our electric prices. What they are telling us is that the kilowatt hour rate is increasing about a penny a month at this point. And they're urging us to lock into a rate for 36 or 48 months. Just to give you some information on what we're currently paying, we signed a contract for 36 months that will be up in July of 2023. The rate that we were paying is 0.0482 per kilowatt hour. The rate that they are offering us is 0.0701, so 7 cents. And the rate, if we did not lock into this contract, right now we would be paying a rate of 0.09675. So the rates are going up. This is not the same advisor that we used when we signed the last contract. The last advisor that we used was Direct Energy Business, and this one is Progressive Energy Consultants.
And as Judy mentioned, we have 14 accounts, 3 of them have that 0.0482, and 11 are at 0.05882, but they both expire on 7/23. So any type of renewal that we consider and look at would really just be an extension beginning August and moving on from there. So I think the quote, there was an early number that came in March 16th, and that would, you could see that jump up from 0.069, I think, to 0.07, what number you had read. So I think since we don't have it on the agenda, we're getting the numbers, just wanted to give the board a heads up, and we'll try to gather information for the next meeting, and then you can consider, is it a good time? We'll try to see, may not be the best time right now. It may be the best time we're going to see for the next 3 years, who knows? But we'll try to get some information so you can consider that and then decide if we want to take any action for beginning in August.
Yeah, I guess Judy, just for clarification purposes, that 096 that you said, that's a PP&L rate.
Correct.
That's shows up on everybody's bill. That's the matching rate that they tell you that, PPL's current rate. So, just as a little aside here, there are several other energy brokers out there that I think Mike has a chance to just consult, see where they're at on the different pricing too. Probably till next meeting we can come back with a proposal. We'll just time to think about it here for the next 2 weeks. So, and whatever you get, any other kind of information that you could update the board prior to the meeting. So.
maybe reach out to the one, the other one that did the last contract.
So that's everything.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so, so Tricky,
Okay, treasurer's report. The list of bills, we have several different lists here. It's been a 3-week period between meetings. Bills are accumulating, getting paid. So the first motion here would be to approve check payments for the general fund account, list of bills in the amount of $97,551.83. That is the starting date of March 18th to April 6th. Any questions there?
Yeah. Check 62187. Just curious, annual growth, Route Associates annual growth for $2,596.
That was the road bids. That's the engineer that put the bids together that we approved tonight. He put the paperwork together for the bid packages and did most of the legwork on those packages.
Oh, thanks.
So
And how about right below it, the $144.75 to impact fee consultant?
that would be Ritu as well. Is
What
that?
would they be?
No, that's under Ritu as well. I'm asking you.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yes. So would that be like Brent being at a January meeting?
Well, if it's Ritu, it's John Schick.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So, okay. Anybody else? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
and I will second that. We have a motion and a second, any other questions? Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Opposed, none, motion carries.
okay, and the next one would be a motion to approve the check payments for the light fund account. And the list of bills in the amount of $13,376.13. And that too is the starting date of March 18th to April 6th. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
And I will second that. So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, next one. We have a motion to approve electronic payment list of bills in the amount of $83,440.14. This is for payroll dated from March 30th on a pay period of March 13th to March 26th. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any questions? Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
And the next one, motion to approve check payments for the general fund account, list of bills in the amount of $155,128.29. These are checks dated today, April 7th of 2022. Is there any questions there? Yes, sir.
Don Miller. Check number 62214 from Island Tech Services for $11,995. Put the laptops for the cruisers.
Yes, sir.
And then another question, check number 62216 for LexisNexis Risk Data Management. What's that for?
That's a police department program that we use.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
And one last one, to make a motion to approve check payments for the light fund account. List of bills in the amount of $13,218.46. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries.
That is the treasurer's report for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you to the assistant treasurer for all your help. And Judy.
And Judy.
Okay, old business, continued discussions, township Facebook page.
Yeah, we had talked at the last meeting about, we had reviewed two different policies for social media policies that some other municipalities had. But the discussion that came up, or the question that came, was how we may need to handle this internally with a staff member. Would there have to be a change in job functions, things like that? I did speak with the HR coordinator and had just asked about her familiarity with Facebook and whether she would be, as part of her role, as she gets direction from the manager to put informational items on Facebook, would she be able to do that during the course of the day and not any type of impact? And she agreed that that's not an impact. So it doesn't appear we have to do anything in regard to changing job descriptions or considering compensation or anything like that. Really what it's going to be, as we talked about before, would be forming it and then having it serve as an informational sort of mechanism to make sure people know if we are going to be line painting, if we're going to be paving roads, if there's some item like that. If there's a tree planting coming up on April 23rd at 9 o'clock in the morning, if anyone wants to do that, we'd have that on there. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock. All right. 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock, don't do it.
There'll be 7 comments on that Facebook page how I got that wrong. And I'm not paying attention. So, yeah, so something like that, those type of things, to really just kind of, again, engage the community, make sure people are aware of what's going on, and hopefully have an easy way of staying in touch, like you guys through social media in different ways. So that's kind of where we are. I think we've covered that item, and if we do want to look from a social media policy end, we have some samples of that. Chief, you're doing one now with the police department, doing it internally.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I don't do it because I don't have a clue, so. Somebody else does that.
So really, it's back to the board to see where you feel and what direction you want to give with that.
I've always said it's a great idea, just to get things out to the public. Everybody, or most people of all ages, go on there for information. With the whole pool thing happening, opening, and being able to rent the pavilion and all that, that's a good way of getting it out there. Even just sharing the fire companies when they're doing fundraisers or whatnot, it's another way of getting them exposure as well through the township. I'm all for it, and I'd like to move on with that if the board's okay with it.
I'm not a social media kind of guy. I stay away from it, but I won't stand in the way of it. The question before was who's going to monitor it, who's going to keep an eye on it, and if those safeguards are in place, go for it.
Kind of echo a little bit of what Jeff said. I'm not a social media guy. I do understand the technology very well. I do understand that there's a large portion of the population that does use it. I'm all for it. What I would ask is that we just make sure that our formal method of communication via the website does not slack off. With with Facebook being used more and more often.
Yeah, you're almost gonna see probably a mirror.
It's gonna need to be a mirror.
Right.
Correct.
So it should be.
So those are my thoughts.
So you need a motion? Okay. So I'll make a motion to authorize the manager and secretary, HR, to officially open a East Cocalico Township Facebook page.
And I will second that. Any comments, any questions? Yes, sir.
Steve Brubaker. So, the Facebook page, just for clarification, would be for informational purposes only. The public would not be allowed to make comments on the page.
No, you can't prevent someone from making a comment on the page. I think the message is going out is that the township is not going to dialogue with you on the page. It's really primarily just to let you know, this is what's coming up, this is what's happening, this is what's available. If you do have a question, I would suggest the best thing would be to call to the township. You say, hey, like if I put out it's 9 o'clock and it's 8 o'clock, and you guys recognize that and call and say, like, it's 8 o'clock. But there's not going to be a dialogue if someone says, I don't like that, or I'm not in favor of that. That's, you can put that on there, but it's not going to be responded to.
Will there be filters?
Well, the social media policy that we've looked at is obviously if someone is threatening somebody, if somebody is using inappropriate language, slurs, those type of things, can be a process to deal with those. For the most part, you put it on there, you own it. So if you're going to put something on there, recognize that it's going to be in the public and it's going to be backed up and it's going to be seen. And I think that's really how we'll handle it. If you get to a point that this blows up in the wrong way, then we have to probably reassess. But you can't essentially tell someone if they say, I don't like Reeves Town Pool, and I think it's a waste of township money, you should be able to put that on the Facebook page. We're not gonna respond to it. If you say I'm gonna go to the Reeves Town Pool and do something that could injure somebody, then that would be a different item, and then I'd probably call the chief and then let him know about it as well. So that's kind of a cool.
Thank you.
Yep. Did you guys vote?
No, we didn't vote yet.
I made the motion.
And I second it.
So we're ready.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Independent investigation request. This is related to of course, the previous executive sessions and comments that I've made about those executive sessions. I'm going to make a motion that an independent third-party investigation of the East Cocalico Township zoning hearing practices, building permit process, as it relates to Lancaster County's real estate tax payments in East Cocalico Township needs to be done. Do you have a second?
I'd actually like to make a motion to table it concerning the request from an independent investigation and to consult with the township solicitor due to potential ethics act issues.
And based on solicitor advice, I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for your motion. There was no second for your motion. Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. That motion carries.
Question,
Yes, sir.
my name is Ralph Buckles. Questions for Mr. Hessian.
based on this vote and the 2 emails that I sent you earlier, has the bond agent or the financial been notified of a potential issue?
No.
Will they be?
I guess part of that will be determined based off of the response from the township solicitor. It's probably the best way to see that.
Okay, well, this is the second, this will be headed to the second year, this is kicked down the road. This was kicked down the road by previous supervisor. And it remains open and kicked down the road again.
Okay, next item. Update for support of volunteer firefighters in that possible new program. So I think the last, right, but I think the last action item was you guys were gonna try to get together with the departments, run it past them.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
been successful with doing that, right?
Yeah, we started, we're going to proceed that way, and then we started talking about the fire official and a couple other items. And then I believe we're looking to meet with Stephen, right, as the next one, and we haven't worked that time out yet. So, it's still on the radar, but it's not, it hasn't been, hasn't been organized yet.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's why I was just, so we don't
No,
forget about
no.
it, we get it out there. Okay. Thank you. Okay, new business.
So I'd like to make a motion to have our solicitor, Matt Cream, attend all future Board of Supervisors meetings till further notice.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Comments and questions? Yes, sir.
Steve Brubaker. At how much will the solicitor be charging for this motion moving forward per meeting?
I'm not sure exactly the hourly rate, I think we can find that out, but it would be their standard hourly rate for tenants here. So it's going to depend on.
Could you get that information?
Oh, sure.
Pertinent, because that would be taxpayer dollars.
Do you want me to go get it?
Yeah.
Well, Judy gets that. Any other yes, ma'am?
Susie Mackley, I'm just curious, what prompted this? Because all these years, there's never been a township solicitor at every meeting. Many, many, many years ago, there was. And about 24 years ago, supervisor said, why do we need to pay a solicitor to just sit here through every meeting? So that practice was stopped in order to save money, taxpayer money. Of course, if there's an issue you know is coming up, you can certainly have your solicitor here. But I'm just curious, what has prompted every meeting? 2 people, you have to have a reason for it.
I feel it's necessary.
For what purpose?
That's all I'm gonna say tonight.
This is a public meeting.
That's all I'm gonna say tonight.
We had a solicitor once before that tried to shut down the First Amendment right to speak. Can't do that.
This will be a different solicitor.
Okay. But they can't shut their speech down. So I'm just curious why you would spend the money. I mean, I'm sure you're paying him, what, $200 an hour?
No.
$200? No, less, 150?
Judy's got, she's,
See, we're here 2 hours.
she has it here.
It's easy to find.
It's 185.
There you go. 185.
Intro.
That's
Intro.
Right.
No, there's no travel.
No, that's right, yeah, it's included in that.
And that would be charged per hour for the entire meeting, is that correct? Not just the time that the solicitor is talking or,
As long as he's there.
so it could be three hours.
He's physically present, yes.
Way physically present. Would any of the other supervisors, we heard from Mr. Mitchell, that he will speak to as far as what prompted this, would any of the other supervisors like to comment on what prompted this?
I have no comment at this time.
So you throw this out here as a motion, but then you're not gonna answer our question.
Correct.
How transparent is that?
That's all I'll say for tonight.
So you're gonna go ahead and make a motion and just pass this on without the residents having comment or answering our questions?
I did answer your comment.
Yeah, but no,
I have no comment.
you have no comment. So how can you make a motion paying a solicitor $185 to come sit here at our meetings and not have any comment?
At this time, I have no comment.
So how can you make a motion tonight then?
I'll step in here.
It's your money.
I'm,
I know, and I agree with
I'd
him doing
rather
it,
pay-
we agree with him.
I'd rather pay $185 an hour than $200,000 in like an issue.
Until unforeseeable future, there's no end to this?
There probably will be an end to it, I'm sure there's end to everything.
sorry, name in the back.
Edward McMahon speaking.
Okay, there's a question over here. Yes, ma'am.
Monica Craig Fry, what if some people in the audience would like to have an attorney here at every meeting? The way some people behave at these meetings, I think it's probably a very good idea to have an attorney here.
Thank you. So to answer your question, sir, I do not, everyone answered, I didn't answer, so my answer is very simple. I do not think it's a responsible use of funds. If we follow this logic, we're responsible individuals. We have a major responsibility while we volunteer here. I can't agree to this because following the logic, my next question becomes, when I'm out in the public and I'm speaking to someone outside this building, I still represent East Cocalico Township. If I say something inappropriate, if I commit to something, legally we may be bound to that. So the logic would follow then, should I have an attorney follow me every time I'm within the township geography? Just a question that I have. Because while we're out there, I was at the Lancaster County Planning Commission meeting today with the Agricultural Preserve Board as well as Lancaster Farmland Trust, a board that Mike volunteered me to. We were there for a 2-hour meeting and there were it was an open public meeting, there were a lot of discussions there, but I understand I gotta be very careful what I say when I'm there because I'm representing East Cocalico. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
There's a question online on Zoom from Alan Maxwell.
Yes, Alan Maxwell. As a resident of the township.
Alan, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's out there, the audio, I can hear the audio in the hallway.
That's weird.
I didn't even know we had speakers out there.
I'll try to speak up.
Might be
As a as a long-term resident of the township and someone who has been getting more and more involved in the township meetings and paying attention,
Hold a second, let me get into the audio settings.
Is the thing on in the, is the box on in the closet?
Appears that for reasons unknown that the speaker's not working at the moment. When I tested them earlier, they were fine. I don't know what the story is. We'll have to get that looked at, so I'm not sure what to tell now. And that's
Can you just, if he asks, can you just say it?
Or we
yeah,
can,
no, he can hear fine. Alan, can you type what you want to say and I can read it out? Does that, or can you call in on a separate phone?
What happened to this fancy audio that you can't do any firewall?
Ken,
Yeah. You should call her. Do you know our links?
can he hear us?
Okay, yeah, he can hear us, okay. Here's his response. I support the attorney being at the meetings, especially in light of the recent adversarial tone of the meetings. We need to support and protect our supervisors, and having the attorney involved would do all that.
Okay, thank you. Okay. New business, well, wait a minute.
You have to vote.
We have a vote, someone to,
Do I make the motion you want?
no, you don't. So we have a motion and a second. Okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Motion carries.
And in conjunction with that, I'd also like to make a motion that the solicitor prepares and reads all correspondence about executive sessions, past and coming, at the future meetings. Is there a second?
Why would you do that?
I had a resident that was concerned at the last meeting about the preparation and reading and language of executive sessions, how they were reported. I have legal concerns that be followed properly. So I agree with that resident, that the solicitor should prepare and read those summaries.
The solicitor's present in the meeting. When the executive sessions are being read, he can step in immediately if there's something not being expressed properly. That's why he's there. So we don't have to pay him for extra time to prepare something in advance. That's why he's here.
There's another response from Alan that says he fully agrees with that.
Okay, there was a motion, there was no second, so the motion fails. Thank you. Okay, public comment for non-agenda items. Again, just please clearly state your name. It helps Lisa with the minutes. Okay. All right, the next Board of Supervisors meeting is going to be held on Thursday, April 21. It'll be held in person and via Zoom. Excuse me. And it will be here at the Township Building at 7 PM. We do not have an executive session for tonight. Do we have a motion to?
One more comment
Yes,
from
sir.
Alan Maxwell. All communication involving executive sessions and what happens in them should be reviewed by the solicitor to ensure we are legal. All communications involving the executive session and what happens in them should be reviewed by the solicitor to ensure we are legal.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Chief, you want me to get you an exact time? Very nice presentation.
No, that's Joe's shot. Yeah, it would be.
I heard two. 2.5.